हरि ओम।
Hari Om. Shall we begin? Om. Om. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswati Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Samastajana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidmaram. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gururadiranaadischa Guru Paramadaivatam Guru Parataram Nasti Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Na Gururadikam Tattvam Na Gururadikam Tapaha Tattvanyana Param Nasti Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Hari Om. Hari Om, everyone. So today is a very interesting shloka and we're gradually building up. So we did how one becomes a man of wisdom, how the student then thanks the teacher blesses the student, then then gradually what happens? Then it said the glory of the knowledge was the knots of the heart get removed. Then the glory of the man of wisdom was discussed, how he becomes Atma Krida, Atma Rati. Then the glory of the Nishtha began. And after the Nishtha, you cannot even describe him. Taittiriya Upanishad, Yatavacha Nivartanti. And after that came the song of realization, where he now realizes I'm one with the infinite self. And we did that last week. Once you've got this full Nishtha, abidance in this knowledge, then now comes the glory, the Vaibhava of this man of wisdom. Who exactly is he? And what is he capable of? And how is that relevant to us? This is shloka number 22, Mundaka Upanishad. The last verse of the first section of the third chapter of Mundaka Upanishad. Yam yam lokam manasa samvibhati vishuddha sattva kamayate yamscha kaman tam tam lokam jayate tamscha kaman tasmad atmagnyam hi archayet bhuti kamaha. We'll take the literal definition first. Yam yam lokam manasa samvibhati. Loka means world. It also means field of experience. So whichever yam, whichever field of experience or world, manasa samvibhati, that his mind, this the man of wisdom, his mind, samvibhati, sankalpayati, which is he gets a sankalpa, a desire, a thought. Whichever thought or desire he entertains, Yam yam lokam, in whichever field of experience, whichever loka. Next line, Vishuddha Sattva. His mind is now extremely, extremely pure. There's Sattva, then there's Shuddha Sattva, then there's Vishuddha Sattva. This is Vishuddha Sattva, which means absolutely pure. There's not even a trace of his own identification, his own ego. He has realized that this Brahman I am. Kamayate yascha kaman. Kamayate desires, yascha kaman. Whichever object of desire he desires. Tam tam lokam jayate tamscha kaman. There and there, he conquers that field of experience, that loka, in that world, with whichever object he desires. Tasmat, therefore, Atmagnyam, this man of wisdom, this man who's realized his own self, he indeed archayit, archanam, worship, bhuti kamaha. Therefore, if you have any material desires, and we'll come to all that, if you have any wants or needs or material desires, you should worship Archanan, this man of wisdom. That's it. The shloka is done. Any questions? Because I can speak for an hour, so I'd rather, hopefully your mind is stunned enough. Loka will do the logic of all this in brutal detail. Now what do? When we want something, we go to a temple, we break a coconut, we pray. Some people will do yajnas. Some will go to astrologers and do pujas. Some will feed the poor. Some will they'll sponsor some event. Some will wear these amulet and rings, yellow, green, blue, depending on when you were born. They all wear that. Everybody has a strategy. Nothing wrong with that. They're all strategies. They're all different ways. But what is this verse saying? Loka first is any field of experience. It also means any world. So I don't know them, but I think I've written a few here. Bhur, Bhuva, Swaha, Maha, Jana, Tapa, Satya. Don't ask me what they are, but there are various fields, various worlds. Swarga Loka, Vaikuntha Loka that you can go to. Now, so whichever field of experience you desire, that he desires, he can get. How? Manasa. Just by thinking about it, quote unquote, wishing for it, which in his mind is now known as you've heard of this word before, Satya Sankalpaha. What does that even mean? We always say Gurudev was a Satya Mahatma, and therefore his Sankalpa was Satya Sankalpa. Whatever he says came true, which we are seeing in our lifetimes. But why? We'll come to it. Now, the other question you'll say is, why does he have any desires? He's already fulfilled. Why would he have any desires? Whichever thought comes in his mind. Now, I think the book says it's like a chalice which has been emptied of its ego. It's a beautiful analogy. And has been filled up with the amrita, the nectar of immortality. And it's overflowing. That love is overflowing. So if anyone wants anything, they can simply dip into that and take it, and it still remains overflowing. You and I are a chalice, which is a leaky pot, whichever desires get fulfilled, they are multiplied even 1,000-fold, and more desires come, and therefore the pot remains empty. But one who's emptied this of his ego becomes full of this nectar of immortality. So he has no specific desire. But if a devotee comes to him and he wants something and he's happy with that devotee and he says, Tathastu, may it happen, it will happen. Any loka, we're not just talking here. Now let's try and understand.
Will there be karma attached to that? Because we're supposed to be sort of detached to the outcomes of our actions, for example. And if we go to a realized master and say, I need this, I need to get this job, for example. So I'm kind of this, I'm looking forward to the outcome, the goal. But if I'm going to a realized master and he helps me, blesses me to get the job that I want, for example, would there be a karma to that?
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. Because whatever karma you do, there has to be a karma phala.
Mm.
So if karma is you want a job and he gives you a job, that's the phala. You got the job. Or you want...
But because it's through a realized master, that's what I was wondering.
Sorry?
Because it's via a realized master. So if I make my job application, for example, I can either be detached to the outcome and think, okay, I've done my bit, whatever comes my way is my prashad. But if I'm going, or I can be attached and think, oh, I really want this, I really want this. So then I'm attached and so on. But if I'm going to a realized master, what's the difference?
If you are totally detached and you just want the job and you leave it at the feet of the Lord and whatever happens, happens, then you don't go to the realized master to ask for it.
Okay.
You don't want to ask for it.
But in theory, I'm just trying to clarify.
See, there are two parts. Either you desire something and you work for it, or you desire something and you pray for it. The question here is, who do you pray to? And we'll discuss this in detail if you bear with me. Because who do you pray to? As we said, you can wear your amulet, you can do your yajnas, you can pray to Ganesha, Hanuman, the 1,000 deities offered in Hinduism, or you can pray to a man of wisdom. That's the issue here. For material desires, so obviously there are four kinds of people in this world: Artik, Arthartik, Jignasu, and Jnani. Only four. Artik, I have a disease, I have a problem, I have a sorrow. Please relieve me of my sorrow. Sorrow dissipation is the only goal of an Artik person. Arthartik people, all I want is name, fame, power, and pleasure. That's pretty much 99% of us. All I want is name, fame, power, and pleasure. Therefore, I work for it, I pray for it, and that's all I seek. Third kind of person, a jignasu. You know what? I've done some thinking. I've done some reflection. And there's more to life than being artik or arthartik. I need to now become a seeker. A jignasu is a seeker. And the fourth, jnani, one who's been seeking and has found what he sought, becomes a jnani. So if you're an artik or arthartik person, who do you pray to? This verse is crystal clear. Yam yam lokam manasa samvibhati. Whichever field of experience you want. I didn't complete the last line, maybe that's why. Vishuddha sattva kamayate yascha kaman. Because his mind is atyanta shuddha, so pure, that whichever object of desire he desires, tam tam lokam, that and that field of experience, tamscha, jayate tamscha kaman, he gains that field of experience for himself or for whoever else asks him for it. The last line, tasmad, Therefore, he, Archaye, you must worship this man of wisdom. For what? Bhuti kamaha, for your material needs and gains. Nothing but spirituality. You want a TV, you want a diamond jewelry, you want your son to get married, you want a daughter to go to education, you pray to him. This is what the verse is saying. And we're trying to explain the logic here. So again, lokam is field of experience. So it can be any field of experience, bhulok, bhuvalok, swargalok, any loka. Now, and it says you should worship. How should you worship? We'll briefly talk about that. Pada puja, whatever it is, whatever you do to God, you do to him. Selfless service. Now, the difference between man and God is man has many desires and limited ability to fulfill them. God has no desires and unlimited potential to fulfill desires. Logic. Therefore, if man wants to fulfill his desires, he has only two options. Fulfill it yourself with your own effort, or go to God and say, help me. Two possibilities. Or go to God, give me the ability, or just give me the fruit. That's it. I'm too lazy, just give it to me. Because I've broken 10 coconuts, I deserve it. Now, the Mahatma, now how can God provide all this anyway? God is at 4 levels. One is at the Atman level, is Brahman. At the Vasna level, Ishvara. At the total mind level, Hiranyagarbha. At the gross level, Virat Purusha. So how does the man of wisdom fit in here? Given that he's completely dissolved his whole ego, he has no individuality left. He has become one with Virat Purusha. His mind has become one with Hiranyagarbha. His causal body has become one with Ishvara. His identification is the self in me, is the self in all, and the self in all is the self in me. Atman has become Brahman. So, what does this even mean? You're on the beach, you're watching the ocean. Take a place like Hawaii where you get massive waves. And at one spot, you see this huge wave arising, and you focus on that one wave. It rises, massive force, different shapes and sizes, and then crashes and depletes itself, dissipates. Now, you and I can be a wave in which we try to create whatever it is we desire, fulfill it. We try to fulfill our desire, which we've created, with our own effort, prayatna. The wave can become big, can become small, good. But that wave rose in the ocean. It was the power of the ocean which was behind the wave. So as a wave, I can only do so much. But as the ocean, I can do anything I want. I can have a wave rise in India. I can make it 100 feet tall. I can make it a ripple. I can have the same wave rise in Hawaii. I can have the same wave rise in the Pacific. if I identify with the ocean. That's what the ocean can do. So the man of wisdom is basically the ocean. He's identified with the total mind. You and I, with our limited mind, can only do so much. When we form a family unit, we can do a lot more. When we form Chinmay Mission, we're able to achieve phenomenal things. What's happening? The mind is expanding. The man of wisdom is the total mind. So if a sankalpa is the man of wisdom, that I've got a wave in Dover, off Dover, and I want the wave in Hawaii to be 50 times taller, and the man of wisdom says Tathastu, he is the ocean, the wave rises there. Yam yam lokam manasa samvibhati, whichever world, whichever field of experience that you desire, because of his Vishuddha Sattva, his purity of mind, kamayate tamscha kaman, he can get you that desire fulfilled. Therefore, if you have worldly desires that you want fulfilled, worship a man of wisdom. This is what this verse is saying. Come down to an easier level. Those of you who are following the news, SpaceX just went public. It began as a little dinky company, almost went bankrupt when the rocket exploded. You can read that on the internet, where Musk nearly went bust with because the rocket smashed up. The whole process was not going to be could not be justified. He sat there, rebuilt it, got funding, went to venture capitalists. Venture capitalist, slightly larger mind. They gave him the funding. He developed. Now it's successful. Now he needs more money. Where does he go? IPO, total mind. IPO to raise 75 billion. Then he needed 5 billion. More you expand the mind, greater the possibilities of getting any experience that you desire. Now, this is for Arthik and Artharthik. Now we say, what? Ishvara can fulfill all desires. Why don't I pray to Ishvara? Good, do that. Ganesha can do it. Good. Shiva can do that. Fantastic. Devi Ma Puja. Wonderful. God is still an abstract concept. We did this in Kapil Gita. It's still an abstract concept. A man of wisdom is real, here and now, in flesh and blood. I may not know God, but I know God man. Kapil Gita. Same idea here. Man of wisdom is one with Ishvara, and therefore the book is clear. I will quote, there is no difference between Ishvara and the man of wisdom. And when it happens, you say, Guru, you did this for me. He'll say, no, God did it, because he knows that it was God's grace flowing through him which made it happen. Satya Sankalpa. If his Sankalpa is there, it's a Sankalpa in the total mind. The Sankalpa in the total mind, the total mind has the ability to fulfill whichever Sankalpa it is at any point of time. That's why any Sankalpa done by Gurudev continues to come forth. No matter how long it takes, it will come through. And that's why many people go to the Swamis and Gurus and say, you say it. You say that it will happen. You give me prasad with your hands. You say it will happen, and then it will happen, because they believe in the Satya Sankalpa. You remember the story of Shankara, when he went to this poor lady's house and she had nothing but an amala fruit, maybe even a piece of that. and she gave it to him with devotion. He gave her the Kanakadhara Stotram, and it rained gold in her house. The Shastras are replete with stories of Mahatmas who are able to just say Tathastu and it gets done. Now, Bhuti Kamaha, it's very clear. Bhuti Kamaha, if you have worldly desires, Bhuti, Bhuta, if you have worldly desires, you go to a man of wisdom and you pray, you serve, you worship. How? Exactly as you will worship God. They're important statements. What is the most important statement of the Bhagavad Gita? Anyone? If you had to pick one statement in the Bhagavad Gita, which is the most important. Anyone? Sorry?
Uddared Atmanatmanam.
Okay. Anyone else? One message of the Bhagavad Gita. One line from the Bhagavad Gita.
Karmanevadhikaraste.
Okay. Rija?
I would say Sarvadharman Parityaja. Mamekam Sharanam.
I think we've all memorized the Gita Panchamrit. That's good. Anyone else? The one statement which is the most important in the Bhagavad Gita, as per Guruji, is Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. If we just take that message, this is the Lord Himself speaking. Our whole method of studying and approaching the Bhagavad Gita will be transformed. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Let that sink in. The Lord Himself has said. Why do I say that? Because it says that there is no difference between Guru and God. Let me see if I can get that exact quote from the book. Some pray, this is from the textbook, Some pray and worship God to fulfill their worldly and other worldly desires, and some pray and worship a realized master. Since the master has realized his essential oneness with the universe and God, praying and worshipping God or the realized master is the same. Also, God seems unseen and remote to most of us, whereas the Guru or realized master is directly perceived and available. How is the realized master worshipped? He is worshipped in the same way as is God, through prostrations, rituals, singing hymns, and selfless service. So the next time you meet your Guru, you've met God. How do you approach? How do you deal? Do you listen to what he has to say? Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Or selective hearing. Oh, this makes sense. This, he really doesn't know. He can't relate to me. He's a sannyasi. He doesn't have our worldly issues. Now, so this for Arthik log, those who have diseases, bodily problems, sorrows in their lives, who pray. Or Arthartik, I want name, fame, power, pleasure. Name, fame, power, pleasure. But you say, I don't want these things. I've moved on. I'm a jignasu. I want moksha. Who do I pray to? Now, do you elevate yourself to Shiva or Rama, or who do I pray to? The Guru Stotram has one verse which gives us the answer. Who remembers that?
Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu. That
Actually, all of them. That's not a fair question. All of the Guru Stotram would point to that. But the one I'm thinking about specifically is Jnana Shakti Samarudha Tattva Mala Vibhushita Bhukti Mukti Pradata Cha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Bhukti. You want worldly, you've got worldly desires. Mukti. You want moksha. Pradata Cha. He's the giver of both bhukti and mukti, worldly as well as moksha. So, if you're a jnani, if you're a jignasu or a jnani, and you want moksha, you go to a realized master. Now you say, why did I say jnani should go to a realized master? Because the jnani himself must have a guru and must remain at the feet of the guru, regardless. So man of wisdom can give bhukti and mukti. Mukti will be through yukti, logic. Yam yam loka manasa samvibhati vishuddha sattva kamayate yascha kama. Tam tam lokam jayate tamscha kaman. Tasmat atmagnyam hyarchayet bhuti kamaha. This is Mundaka Upanishad. Same idea was expressed in Kapil Gita, has been expressed in Guru Gita, has been expressed everywhere. Person desirous of prosperity, freedom from distress, problems, sorrows, should worship a man of realization, man of wisdom, man of knowledge, whose mind is extremely pure, free from ego, free from selfishness, any worldly desire. So whatever he desires for that person will come true, called Satya Sankalpaha. He becomes what is known as a wish fulfiller. I think the book says, great indeed are the ones who themselves are fulfilled and become the wish fulfillers of everyone else. He's the wish fulfiller. What we're doing here is the Vaibhav, the glory of a man of wisdom who's gained the knowledge, abided in the knowledge, Nishtha, has sang the song of realization, which we've all memorized by now. And after singing, what happens? His Vaibhav, his glory, he becomes a wish fulfiller. Because of his infinite compassion, if his heart melts, tathastu, it happens. Because you're dealing with the total mind. The total mind is at your disposal.
Suresh, may I ask something?
Please.
So, if you go to a guru and say, I want so and so, wouldn't the guru say to you, we just stop wasting your time in wanting external things? Your happiness doesn't depend on external things. Would he not say, why would he give you what you want instead of saying that?
Two things. A real guru will never tell you that. Because the guru will meet you at your level. When you go to your teacher and say, what's 2 + 2? He doesn't say, let me explain to you thermodynamic process. He'll teach you 2 + 2. If the teacher explains to you integration and differentiation when you ask 2 + 2, he may be a good academic, but he's a useless teacher. So when you go and say, I have a problem, blah, 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 he has to meet you at your level. That's why when someone dies, you don't go there and say, he is Atma, you are Atma. Why do you have to? The wise grieve not for the dead. There's only the gone and the not yet going, and you are going and your children are coming. Why are you crying? You don't say that. You grieve with them. You say you're sorry. You give them empathy because you have to meet them at their level. So a Guru A will never say, your problem doesn't exist because he's been there. Number one. Why would he give it to you? Now that is another matter. Why would God give you anything? To replace Guru with God. Why would God even grant you your wish? A, if it is good for you. B, if you deserve it. C, if it helps in your evolution. Ishvara will provide it. But here, there's something special called grace. I don't need it. I don't deserve it. And yet, I get it. That's the wish fulfilling which the Guru can do. How does that happen? Worship, service, becoming deserving of grace. When you go to school and you are on the borderline, 78, and you need 80 for your A, what do they give you? Grace marks. Why? You were a good student. You came on time. You attended all classes. You were well behaved. You combed your hair. You cut your nails. You were nice to the other kids. You get your 2 points, grace marks. So if you become worthy of grace, then you can apply. Now it's his wish whether to grant. Are we worthy applicants is the question. So this verse talks about worldly desires, bhukti. But I'm a jnani. I'm not interested in bhukti anymore because I know he'll take care. Which verse did we do in the Bhagavad Gita which explains this?
Ananyas chintayanto mam.
Ananyas chintayanto mam. The last line says, Yoga shemam vahamyaham. I will give you what you do not already have, and I will preserve what you already have, or what you gain. Yoga and Shema I will take care of. But now I want moksha, bhukti, mukti pradatacha. He will give you mukti as well. Where? The next shloka we'll do will say how he will grant you mukti. This comes back to after the student went to the teacher. The teacher blessed the student. Student thanked the Guru. What was the next shloka? Anyone remember? The logical thought.
In our text,
Our text, the garland we're doing.
he said, he said, "You're my father. We worship you as our father."
After that,
Yasya deve parabhakti.
Asya deve parabhakti. How did it come in there? He's got all the knowledge. Teacher blesses him. He thanks, the student thanks Tetamarchayantaha. Then Yasya deve parabhakti. Again, it's all coming back to me because when Guruji gave sannyas diksha to this lady, I've told you the story. She then came and sat in front of him 20 minutes after sannyas diksha and says, "What do I do, Guruji?" He said, "Go and sit under a tree and meditate. There's nothing for you to do." But the point was, Yasya deve parabhakti. Now you develop supreme devotion for the Guru, the same as you have for God, because then this knowledge is revealed to you in one fell swoop. Similarly, if you want bhukti, you go to a man of wisdom, it is granted. Yam yam lokam, whichever loka. Or you become the wave and you work slowly and become a big wave and a bigger wave and a bigger wave in hope of becoming the ocean. Or you realize, why don't I ask the ocean to make me bigger or make me smaller or transport me somewhere else? If you appeal to the ocean, appeal to the man of wisdom as Hiranyagarbha, all material wishes are fulfilled and your spiritual needs are fulfilled, which we will do in the next verse. The thought flow is amazing. Yasya deve parabhakti, develop that devotion after you gain the knowledge. And then what happens? then the glory of the knowledge, vidyate hridaya grunti, your avidya, kamna, karma, the knots of the heart are broken. These three is the ajnana, which holds us back. That's broken. And then what happens? Then the man of wisdom. What did he say do? Atma krida, atmarati. And then what happens? Oh, then he has to have nishtha. You will say, what is nishtha? If I gain the truth, don't I just know the truth? We were asking this a few weeks ago. Hopefully now it's crystal clear. Nishtha, nishtha, nishtha. Abide in this knowledge. What does that mean? Anirupte, anilayane, adrishe, anatme. What does that mean? That means I can no longer describe him. Yatavacho nivartante, from where the mind even returns. Then what? Song of realization is established. Now, Vaibhava, the glory of this man of realization. What can he do? For you and I, practically, wish fulfiller. What do I need to do? Serve the Guru. What do I need to do? Worship the Guru. Yet, it is the hardest thing to do. Why don't people do Guru Bhakti and Guru Seva and Guru Dhyanam and Guru Archanam? Because he's a man or woman in flesh and blood, and therefore we see him or her as one of us, and therefore we see the faults, and we cannot accept that. But it's much easier to accept a stone in a temple, which I can put water and yogurt and feel that I've done my job. Because that stone cannot kick you, the stone cannot guide you, that stone cannot slap you. The stone cannot hurt my ego. The stone accepts me for who I am. The useless fellow I am, the stone is okay. The Guru will not do that. He will kick you. And kicks, few people can take. I remember asking this story, this question. I think I've mentioned this many times. 15 years ago to Guruji, about having a Guru as an Ishtadevta. He told me, why don't you think of Rama, Krishna, this? I said, no. He said, if you can, there is nothing like it. But it is very hard. 15, 17 years back. But Gurus will never do that because people will feel it's what is the word? Self-promotion. That they're promoting themselves. They never do that. They will always say God, go to Rama, go to Krishna, go to Govinda. Because but if you study the Guru Gita, it is mind-boggling. It will forget the Guru Gita. Guru Stotram, just look at the one or two words of Guru Stotram. We chant every year, Guru Radhiranadischa, Guru Paramadaivatam, Guru Parataram Nasti, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Think of what it's saying. Guru Adi, he is the beginning. Anadi, endless. Guru Paramadaivatam, of all the Devatas, he is the Paramadvaita, he is the highest of all the Devatas. Next verse says what? Na Guru Radhikam Tattvam. There is nothing higher than the Guru. Na Guru Adhikam Tapaha. Service to the Guru, there's nothing higher than that. Tattva Jnanat Param Nasti. This knowledge that there's nothing higher than service to the Guru even does not exist. Just the Guru Stotra is all we need. We don't need to go into fancy Upanishads. I've said enough. Over to you guys. I know what I say sometimes is not very comfortable. But I won't say sorry because it is the truth. And in this class, many people don't come because they say it's too harsh, it's too strong. And many dropped out along the way. Some have stayed. Chris has stayed from, 2001. She's still here. So she must be gaining something.
So
Questions?
there's a sorry, someone saying something.
No, I just had questions.
There's a quote by Gurudev, and I was just thinking about how this is fitting in Guruji's flow, how this is the next bead in the necklace that he's put together. There's a quote by Gurudev where he's saying that, most of us are takers of love. To give love, we have to be independent in ourselves. Otherwise, you can only be a taker of love. Now, I haven't got the exact beautiful words that he uses down in the calendar that are further up on the shelf. But this verse is very much like that, because Guruji, as in the Mundaka Upanishad, is literally just telling us that if you want to ask, don't ask from any odd sources. Go and ask from the highest. Go and ask from the Guru, because only that person can give. Just like we were told, like if you have a desire, take it to God. Don't go looking for it in the false areas of the world. So it's actually quite because it's been in my mind, like, why would Guruji be putting this here to talk about my worldly desires after having talked about everything else? Why is he putting it here? And this is one of the things that's coming to mind.
Yep. Those of you who are actively serving, you must see this every day. You cannot be blind. Open your eyes and see things we never thought possible. But we just follow instructions and we do it, and it happens. Impossible things happen. Impossible things. I'm replete with, I don't want to bore you with stories, but just 4 days ago, we had a call with Rupesh about the AV system. And the Yagya AV system, the guy quoted 65,000 pounds. Got on a call with Professor Shiva, who absolutely was upset, is a very nice word. And he said, my daughter's wedding is costing 900 pounds. Why are you paying 65,000? Good 45-minute call. Got Mayank on the call, spoke to everybody. From 65, the worst he can come down is 55. So I told Rupesh, I said, have one call to him and just give him the big story of what Chinmaya mission is, what is Hinduism about, what we're trying to do in terms of Hindu unity. What have you got to lose? We've committed to 55 anyway. So you appeal to him and tell him what CM is about. Because one thing Ruji told me is, open your mouth. That's all you have to do. Is the cause noble? Is it required by society? Do you have any ulterior motives? If the answer to all that is no, then have faith in the generosity of the giver. And then the most important, open your mouth, which is the hardest thing for us to do. What will he think? I'm always asking for money. How many times have we heard that in the mission? Oh, we shouldn't be asking this. We're always asking for money. Our job is to ask for money because we're asking for the Loka Kalyan, for the welfare of the world. Rupesh went and he called this guy, gave him the spiel. Not only was he so impressed with this, well, I gave him two. I said, A, tell him to reduce it, and B, tell him now, does he want to be a Yajman? We have a 25,000 category, 10,000 category, 5,000. And Rupesh said, but how will he be a Yajman if he's doing the photography? I said, his family can sit there. Same thing we did at CVV. I think I told you, we had a conference last month. And it was a 1 crore budget. We had not raised it. I said, go to every vendor who sells us equipment, blackboard, chairs, whatever it is we buy, ask each vendor for 25,000, ask each professor for between 10 and 50,000, ask each student to contribute. And you know what? We filled the whole gap. 1 crore is filled. Everybody contributed. What happened? A spirit of giving was built in there, that we have to give back. They had not thought of it. This fellow from 65 came to 55. 55 has dropped to 42,500 just by this one phone call. And now I think of waiving VAT, but that's another discussion, which may even come down. The point was, when it's for good cause, open your mouth. And you watch miracles happen on a daily basis. It wasn't fully successful because he hasn't yet committed to being a yajman, but we're working on that. Anyone, anything to share? Any experiences? Roshni, you're in the eye of the hurricane. You should be able to give us a lot of anecdotes.
No, like like last week there were so many instances of like people remembering Guruji, and Guruji would also be like remembering them, or like would like reach out or call. And this verse coming here today is like really, yeah, there's lots running through my mind just because Guruji was in Vibhuti for a few days. And I always think about this, you you go to the temple, you think that okay, if Bhagwan was supposed would come in front of me, like what would I do? And with Guruji coming, I was like, Bhagwan's coming, like he's there right in front of me. And I don't know, like what am I supposed to like what do you do? Like how do you take from that experience? And it was bothering me too because like you'd sit with Guruji and he'll say something in the morning, by the afternoon like you don't have like the greatest recollection of what it was. And I'm like, what a waste, because you've got like Bhagwan sitting there like telling you like if this is how. Yeah, so anyway, that's so this verse is like just sort of bringing back all of those things that were going through my mind. But yeah, so many instances of just what feels like coincidence. Even Guruji, like, and the this the strange thing is that Guruji will make it seem like he doesn't know, like, what are you talking about? This has nothing to do with me. Like so beautiful, like one coincidence. He was coming to Vibhuti, and on the way, he stopped by in Baner, which is like a new school for Chinmay Nadabindu Gurukul. And the way that it worked out was his dates had a couple of changes, and it ended up that he went to Baner on the very same day that was Shushila Amma's birthday. So for those of you who don't know, Sushila Amma is Pramodni Amma's, who's who leads Nadabindu Gurukul's mother, and like very long-term devotee of Chinmay Mission, has done lots of songs, written lots of compositions with Gurudev and through Guruji's time. And the day that he chooses to see Baner, like he goes to the Baner house, is the day of Sushila Amma's birthday. And to that, Guruji's response to us is like, wow, he like shows as though he's exclaimed, and he himself is so surprised, by the turn of events. And yeah, there were like so many of those moments because you just stand there looking and it's like, really, like you're trying to make it seem to us that, none of this was orchestrated by you, but like, verily you were very much doing that. So yeah, it's like this discussion's bringing back all of those things.
And the beauty is this property in Baner, which we found when we went round and round and round and round, and this property we found was owned by a CM devotee who gave it to us. And when I asked him what rent, he said, you put the figure, whatever you want. I said, what's the term of the lease? He said, you write anything. How can I negotiate with Chinmay Mission? And the name of the property was Chinmayam. Go figure. That's where our new CVV School of Music will be in Baner, which is in Pune. So we signed the lease in April this year. Freaky things. Yes, Lisa.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was just there's two things I'd like to say. Is that once, because I've only met Guruji once, and I was astounded by that the love. it's like it flows from his eyes. And, like I said, I'd sort of taken some fruit and I forgot to bring it with me because I was overwhelmed. So I went back to my room and bought it. And he said, I just gave it to the lady who was looking after everything. He said, "Oh, what is that?" And she said, "Oh, Dvija bought some fruit." And he actually said, "No, give it to me." And then he sort of like held it very close to his heart and then sort of gave it. And I thought that was just, that love. Uh, but this thing about why don't we commit? And I always, and I ask myself, why don't I commit? And it's this fear that he might say to me, do something that's so counterintuitive that I won't be able to, and I won't be able to listen to him. And that's a real fear. That's, I think that's the one thing that really stops me from committing, really.
Roshni, you were saying?
No, I think that fear, for me, it's just been like, well, it almost just helps you to become more fearless, I think, because the moment he says it, then there's no option. So, it's almost you have to operate with, he said so, so you just do so, and I think that helps you then just to become fearless, because just related to this, we had an incident in our campus, and like a not pleasant situation, and I was going through a little bit of like fear because it was next door. And I was wondering, should I change my room? And Guruji just said to me, no, there's no need for you to change your room, because you just need to, it's all in your mind and you just need to deal with it. And it's not that that instantly went off. Like there was a week of just still being scared, but just knowing that, okay, Guruji said that I just need to face that fear. I just need to go through the dark, whatever it is, and just and power through. So yeah, sorry, it was just a quick reaction to what you said. I think just the moment that you have that trust and faith that you just need to listen, then it helps you to get through even what seems like a difficult situation. But just the other thing I wanted to share was we had a small mini celebration for Guruji's birthday, just because he's not going to be here on 30th of June. And the whole team had sang like all Ram bhajans, and we finished the night. And then he's like, "You've all, like sang all of these bhajans, but you've forgotten something very important." And then he goes out and gets his harmonium, and then starts. He's like, "The most important. This is why I keep saying that 2G is so important. So you have to." Then he started singing Gurudev's, like he started singing Guru bhajans. So back to, I think, like, just what we're discussing too. He's like, you've forgotten a very important link. You've forgotten something very important. He called it like the missing link. And he made sure that we closed the night with Guru Bhajans as well. And he's like, he emphasized again why it's 2G. It is both God and Guru that you need to really continue this journey.
Roshni is very brave. The experience she was talking about is there's a lady next to her in the next room who passed away. And it's a difficult experience when you know the person. But she didn't move rooms. She stayed there, and all the havans and holams and cleaned the room. And Guruji said, yes, continue. Somebody else can occupy it. And Roshni didn't move. Brave girl. She continued to stay there. So if you want mukti, we'll talk about it next week. If you want mukti, well, you're done with the subject matter. You don't need to continue the class. But if you want mukti, we'll continue next week. Should we do the Gita Panchamrit? Neeraj immediately dropped off the minute I said that. Immediately. Shloka 1. Challenge yourselves, even if you're not comfortable. It doesn't matter if you mispronounce. Okay, should I assign people? Shivli 1, Dvija 2, Chris 3, Anu 4, Smitaven 5.
Okay, I'll start. Uddharetatmanatmanam natmanam avasadaye atmeva hyatmano bandhu atmeva puratmanaha.
You're on mute.
कर्मण्ये अधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भूय मा ते सङ्कोऽस्त्वकर्मणि.
Good. 3.
यत्करोषि यदश्नासि यज्जुहोषि ददासि यत्तपस्यासि कौन्तेय तत्कुरुष्व मदर्पणम्.
Good. 4.
अनन्याश्चिन्तयन्तो मां ये जनान् पर्युपासते तेषां नित्याभियुक्तानां योगक्षेमं वहाम्यहम्.
सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज अहं त्वां सर्वपापेभ्यः मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you all very much. I will see you next week.
Hari Om. Thank you.